Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Givaradham Hari Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanatam Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Givaradham Hari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanatam Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Givaradham Hari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanatam Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Givaradham Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Givaradham Hari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanatam Hari Yamunatira Vanatam Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe Jaya Radha Raspi Hari Radha Raspi Hari Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Radha Shama Sundara Radha Shama Sundara Radhe Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Vishupad Paramhamsa Parivrajagatacharya Ashtota Sattva Shishamachila A.C. Bhakti-vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajagatacharya Ashtota Sattva Shishamachila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Kuri Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Sri Rup Sri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sari Goswami Prabhu ki, Prem Se Kosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivadari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopal Gopi Gopinath Cham Kunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhana ki, Sri Vrindavan Dham ki, Sri Mathura Dham ki, Sri Mayapur Navadev Dham ki, Sri Jagannathpuri Dham ki, Vrinda Devi Tulsi Devi ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Ganga Yamuna Devi ki, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki, Sri Sri Gaunitai ki, Sri Sri Krishna Balaram ki, Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar ki, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo, Samavita Bhakta Vrinda ki, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Speaking from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, 9th chapter, 1st verse. The most confidential knowledge. śrī-bhagavān uvāca idam tu te guhya-tamam pravakṣyāmy anasūyave vijñāna-sahitaṁ yajñātvā mokṣyase śubhāt. Śrī-bhagavān uvāca idam tu te guhya-tamam pravakṣyāmi anasūyave jñānam vijñāna-sahitaṁ yajñātvā mokṣyase śubhāt. Idam, yes, okay. Boliye. Yes. śrī-bhagavān uvāca idam tu ye guhya-tamam jñānam vijñāna-sahitaṁ jñātvā mokṣyase śubhāt. śrī-bhagavān uvāca tu te guhya-tamam pravakṣyāmi anasūyave vijñāna-sahitam
śrī-bhagavān uvāca
idam tu te guhya-tamam pravakṣyāmi anasūyave jñāna-vijñāna-sahitam jñātvā mokṣyase śubhāt. Ladies, śrī-bhagavān uvāca idam tu te guhya-tamam pravakṣyāmi anasūyave jñānam vijñāna-sahitam yajñātvā mokṣyase śubhāt. śrī-bhagavān uvāca idam tu te guhya-tamam pravakṣyāmi anasūyave jñānam vijñāna-sahitam jñātvā mokṣyase śubhāt. śrī-bhagavān uvāca. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, idam, this, to, but, te, unto you, guhya-tamam, the most confidential, pravakṣyāmi, I am speaking, anasūyave, to the nonenvious, jñānam, knowledge, vijñāna, realized knowledge, sahitam, with, yat, which, jñātvā, knowing, mokṣyase, you will be released, aśubhāt, from this miserable material existence. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Purport. As a devotee hears more and more about the Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended in the śrī-bhagavān. The messages of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are full of potencies, and these potencies can be realized if topics regarding the Supreme Godhead are discussed amongst devotees. This cannot be achieved by the association of mental speculators or academic scholars, for it is a realized knowledge. The devotees are constantly engaged in the Supreme Lord's service. The Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand the science of Krishna and the association of devotees. Discussion of Krishna is very potent, and if a fortunate person has such association and tries to assimilate the knowledge, then he will surely make advancement toward spiritual realization. Lord Krishna, in order to encourage Arjuna to higher and higher elevation in his potent service, describes in this 9th chapter matters more confidential than any he has already disclosed. The very beginning of Bhagavad-Gita, the first chapter, is more or less an introduction to the rest of the book. And in the 2nd and 3rd chapters, the spiritual knowledge described is called confidential. Topics discussed in the 7th and 8th chapters are specifically related to devotional service, and because they bring enlightenment in Krishna consciousness, they are called more confidential. But the matters which are described in the 9th chapter deal with unalloyed pure devotion. Therefore, this is called the most confidential. One who is situated in the most confidential knowledge of Krishna is naturally transcendental. He therefore has no material pangs, although he is in the material world. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that although one who has a sincere desire to render loving service to the Supreme Lord is situated in a conditional state of material existence, is to be considered liberated. Similarly, we shall find in the Bhagavad-Gita 10th chapter that anyone who is engaged in that way is a liberated person. Now, this first verse has specific significance. The word idam jñānam, this knowledge, refer to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, and surrendering everything. By the practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. When one's heart is thus cleared of material contamination, one can understand the signs of Krishna. Simply to understand that a living entity is not material is not sufficient. That may be the beginning of spiritual realization, but one should recognize the difference between activities of the body and spiritual activities of one who understands that is not the body. In the 7th chapter, we have already discussed the opulent potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, His different energies, the inferior and superior nature, and all this material manifestation. Now in chapter 9, the glories of the Lord will be delineated. The Sanskrit word anasūyave in this verse is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if the highly scholarly, are all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad-Gita very inaccurately. Because they are envious of Krishna, their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by devotees of the Lord are bona fide. No one can explain Bhagavad-Gita or give perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So such commentaries should be very carefully avoided. For one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pure and transcendental personality, these chapters will be very beneficial. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnānanjana-salakaya chakasodhanamilitam yanam tasmai Śrī-gurave namaha Śrī-chaitanya-manobhistam sthapitam yena bhutale Sayam rupa gadamayam dadati sapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yudhabadakamalan Sri Guran Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Sabhadutam Parijana-sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishagan Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Govika Ganta Radha Kanta Namastute Tatta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyahevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvāsa Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare śrī-bhagavān uvāca idam tute guhya-tamam pravakṣyāmi anasūyave jñānam vijñāna-sahitaṁ jñātvā mokṣyase śubhāt. So Krishna speaking to Arjuna, very confidential knowledge. Guhya-tamam. So very nice purport by Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is beginning the purport saying that the more one is hearing about Krishna, or hearing what Krishna has mentioned here in the Bhagavad-Gita, he becomes more and more enlightened. And then he's making a point that one cannot advance in spiritual life if one is not associating with the devotees. So one has to associate with the devotees, especially the devotees who are more advanced. Preferably the pure devotees. Then Krishna will manifest when the pure devotee is speaking and the devotee is listening attentively. Then Srila Prabhupada is explaining about in the first chapter of the Gita and then the subsequent chapter, so, and he's explaining that this knowledge is confidential which he's speaking. And specifically, as in the verse it is mentioned, anasūyave. It is for those who are non-envious, who are not envious of Krishna, and who are not envious of the devotees also of Krishna. So one must be favorably disposed. And then so he's explaining that this knowledge is, of this 9th chapter is most confidential. Guhya-tamam. vijñāna-sahitaṁ. So, significant words here also. Jnana is knowledge and vijñāna-sahitaṁ, together. Vijñāna means realization, realized knowledge. So if one is hearing from the spiritual master, so we should understand, or one is reading the Bhagavad-Gita, hearing from Krishna. So the knowledge which is there, if one is submissively hearing and then one is following or applying the knowledge in one's life, then the realization will be coming. Also actually in the śrī-bhagavān, in the 2nd canto, 9th chapter, the famous 4 verses are there, Chatushloki, the original 4 verses of the Bhagavatam, giving sambandha gyan, preliminary knowledge about the living entity, the Supreme Lord, and the relationship about material existence, spiritual existence. And then abhideya gyan, the process of devotional service by which one can realize. And by doing that, one's heart becomes purified and then love for Krishna will manifest. So there he is explaining before the 4 verses that, again he's explaining also that I'm giving you this confidential knowledge. And there also he has explained jñānam vijñāna-sahitaṁ. The same words are used. Sarva guhya-tamam, this most confidential knowledge. Tad rahasya tadangascha grihana gatitam maya. So there Krishna is speaking to Lord Brahma and explaining to him, you accept this knowledge, what I have spoken, which is confidential. And the realization is included. So first guhya-tamam is explained also confidential, and then rahasya, secret. It is most confidential. Tadangascha. And so the limbs of devotional service, tadangas, cha. So meaning that we have to follow the process. One has to perform devotional service, practical devotional service. Therefore, Prabhupada has also mentioned that Navavida Bhakti is there, the 9 limbs of devotional service. Shravanam, first we hear, and then Kirtanam, then we may speak what we have heard, or we chant the holy names. And as a result, then Smaranam, then we can remember. And when we can remember, specifically also the Lord, then Pada Sevanam, then we can worship His lotus feet. Archanam, so that is a process of deity worship, which is required because in the beginning we cannot see Krishna as He is. Therefore He manifests in the Archa Vigraha, the deity form, which you can worship, and then there's an exchange there. And Vandanam, offering prayers. So when we worship the deities, so we glorify the Lord. In the temple, and even the pujari, the priest, is chanting various mantras while worshipping the Lord, while doing arti, and especially while doing the puja, the bathing ceremony and the dressing of the deities, then is glorifying the Lord by selecting or by selective verses. And Dasyam, always in the mood that I am the eternal servant of Krishna. Dasyam. And then Sakyam, then we should understand that Krishna is our best friend. Krishna is everyone's best friend. And we are fortunate to have this confidential relationship with Krishna, especially in Braj, in the highest realm, Golok Vrindavan. There's a very confidential relationship between Krishna and his associates. Whereas in Vaikuntha, there's also loving a relationship, but there's some awe and reverence. And there, Vishnu is always seen as the Supreme Lord, and we are the insignificant servant. Whereas in Braj, the associates of Krishna, the devotees of Krishna, they think that Krishna is my beloved son, Krishna is my friend, Krishna is my beloved. So there is an intimate relationship, and one is not aware that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So that is most confidential. And then Atmani Vedanam. So when one is situated on the transcendental plane, on the spiritual platform, and especially if one has realized one's relationship with Krishna, either as a friend or servant, or in parental affection, conjugal relationship, then full surrender is there. In the beginning stage, in the conditioned state, when one has knowledge, but not realized, then the surrender is not complete. The surrender is conditional. So one has to continuously be engaged in devotional service, and then one becomes purified in consciousness. And then one can surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada also has mentioned that in the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that if one has a sincere desire to serve the Supreme Lord, so if one is in the material world, but if one is fully absorbed, then one is considered to be liberated. Yaha yasya harer dasya karma manasa gira. So if one is engaged with the body, the mind and the senses in the service of the Lord, then one is considered to be liberated. Nikirashvavyavastasu jivan mukta sochate. But it takes some time to become completely liberated. But one has to remain enthusiastic, fixed, that we have to attain the goal, and one has to be patient. But always engage in devotional activities, avoiding unwanted association. So as Prabhupada is mentioning also, and they mention the verse anasūyave, one should be nonenvious, and one should also avoid the association of those who are envious. And we should associate with the devotees, with the pure devotees who are non-envious. And then one can advance, and then one can attain perfection. So it is a gradual process, but it is mentioned also in the scriptures, and the spiritual masters have explained that if one is sincere and one is constantly engaged in devotional service, then success is assured in due course of time. And so when we understand that Jivara Supoi Krishnera Nityadas, that we are the eternal servant of Krishna, so one will constantly engage in devotional service, and then it does not matter how much it will take. But in due course of time one will attain perfection. So the faith must be there, shraddha, and in the association of the devotees by performing devotional service, then the faith, driyar vishwas, becomes very strong, becomes more and more strong. And then one will have full faith. The more one advances, the more one is advanced, and the faith will be more strong, and full faith will be there, that I will surely attain perfection very soon. So devotee has to be patient. A devotee has to have strong determination, strong faith. A devotee has to be constantly engaged in devotional service and always be very humble, tolerant, and respectful towards others also. And the more one becomes pure, the more one will actually really be humble. So if one is on the spiritual platform, then true humility will be there. When one realizes one's insignificant nature as an infinitesimal spiritual being, and having an eternal relationship with Krishna. So that is the ripe humility. Those who are advanced, they are most humble. But actually Krishna himself, the Supreme Lord, all-powerful, he is most humble. And then also the pure devotees, they are most qualified, but they are most humble. So we have to endeavor to be properly situated, and we have to endeavor to become absorbed, to be surrendered, and properly following the process. Sadachar, proper behavior has to be there, and avoid unwanted association, and try to avoid or to become free from unwanted things in the heart, improper consciousness. Try to be always positive, respectful towards others. And then one can advance slowly but surely. And then realization will be there, that is assured by engaging in devotional service. Vijñāna-sahitaṁ. And then ultimately when the realization is there, then mokṣyase, one will be liberated. Aśubhāt, from that which is inauspicious. Śubhāt means auspicious. Aśubh means inauspicious. So material existence is not auspicious, it is inauspicious. But if Krishna is in the center, and if you engage in devotional service, then everything is auspicious. Shubh or mangalam, auspicious. So Krishna is very merciful. He is giving this knowledge. Through Arjuna is giving the knowledge to the conditioned souls in the age of Kali. And Krishna is very merciful that he has appeared in the age of Kali also, in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, but he came with a Radha Bhava Dyuti Somitam Nomi Krishna Sarupam. He came with Radha Bhav, with the mood of Srimati Radharani, the love of Srimati Radharani, and the complexion of Srimati Radharani. And he has come, he is the Supreme Lord, but he has come as a devotee also, to show us how to practice devotional service. And so he has given the process, which is the chanting of the holy names, the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Krishna, the Supreme Lord, so he's saying Bhagavad-Gita also, worship me, offer everything to me, surrender unto me, always chant my names, offer your obeisances unto me. So he's showing that he's the Supreme Lord and that one should surrender unto him. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so even when he was addressed as the Supreme Lord, he was saying, no, I'm not the Supreme Lord, I'm the servant of the Lord. Although he's Krishna himself, but he came as a devotee, specifically also with the mood of Radharani, the best of Krishna's associates, most exalted of Krishna's devotees. And so he gave the process of the age of Kali, that is chanting the holy names. So he not only came to give that, but he himself, he was chanting the holy names. And then he was, of course, also studying the scriptures, the Bhagavad-Gita, śrī-bhagavān. Although he knows everything, but just to show that we have to study the scriptures. He accepted the spiritual master to show that we have to accept the spiritual master. And then specifically also he showed in which mood we should chant the holy names of the Lord. First of all, in all humility, trinadapi sunichena tororapi sahishnana amanina amananena kirtaniya sadahari. And ainanda tanuja kinkaram padidamam vishame bhavam buddho kripayatava padapankaja stitular sarisham vichintaya. So, oh my dear Krishna, son of Nanda Maharaj, but you're the Supreme Lord. I'm your servant. Please accept me as your servant. please engage me in your service. I'm very insignificant, just like a particle of dust. So engage me or put me at your lotus feet. Engage me in your in your service. I'm your servant. And then with all humility, understanding that I'm very insignificant and that I need the mercy of the Lord, the mercy of the Vaishnavas. And then one has to be very tolerant because difficulties are there in this world. And then we should not desire anything of this world. Nadanam, najanam, sundarim. But we should only desire to be engaged in devotional service. And then in purified consciousness, so when one is chanting the holy names, then one will be longing to, and then of course one will chant with love and affection also. And then one will long to be able to be always absorbed in chanting the holy names and praying that one can, with genuine love, chant the holy names. And then the symptom of ecstasy, ecstatic symptoms are there, described also in the scriptures. If one is chanting with love and affection, then tears will come from the eyes. And then one has so much love, then if one is not seeing Krishna, one will feel one moment just like a millennium, like thousands and thousands of years. So much is the love and affection that even if for one moment we cannot see or remember Krishna, one will feel transcendental pain, feeling separation from the Lord. And then also crying may be there. And then whatever Krishna wants us to do, or however He is keeping us, that one will understand as His mercy. Ashli-shava-padaratam pinashtamam. So you can be present before me, or if you're not present before me, or you trample on me, whatever you do, still so many difficulties may be there, but I will tolerate everything and anything. And I will always see you as my Lord. So that is the mood of the Brijabasis. And especially the gopis, they are most exalted. So Mahaprabhu also came in that mood to give Braj Bhakti and especially show the most wonderful love of Srimati Radharani and the gopis. So in this way, so if we perform a devotional service, we chant their holy names, then the realization will come. Vijñāna. And then one can be absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and then automatically one is freed from this material existence. And then everything is auspicious, mangal, śubhāt. And then usually as a devotee also, the devotees are very kind. Then they will try to help others also to become devotees, to engage in devotional service. So we should try our best to advance more and more in Krishna consciousness. And then as explained in this chapter also, the symptoms are there of a devotee who is advanced. So advanced means that he will have direct perception of Krishna, and he will have direct perception of his self as spirit soul. Atma Sakshakar, that is actually the goal. to be Krishna conscious, to be conscious of Krishna, to practically see Krishna, his transcendental form, beautiful form, Shyama Sundar, Tribhang Lalit. Dayantam Sikhi Pichi Molim, Krishna having a peacock feather in his crown. Murlidhar, he is holding Murli, the flute. Pitambar Vesh, having yellow garment. So, the devotees who are advanced, they can see Krishna's form while chanting the holy names. So that is the goal. So we should try and we should pray that we may advance more and more and ultimately achieve the goal. Direct perception of Krishna and direct perception of ourself and our relationship with Krishna. Hare Krishna,